Hi, this is Renee Cormier from the Fractional Referral Network. I've got Kevin Maufer with us today. He's the principal consultant and fractional leader at CXS Services. Got over 25 years experience in various customer-facing roles. Kevin's a customer success leader dedicated to helping companies build and grow their customer success teams and practices. His mission is to deliver quality experiences and outcomes for customers, drive adoption, retention and revenue growth, and increase valuation across a variety of industries. Fractional executives, fractional people in companies do impact the customer experience. And so that's what Kevin and I are going to be talking about today. Welcome aboard, Kevin Maufer. Can you share with us some examples of how different fractional roles influence customer satisfaction?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you, Renee, for having me, and thanks to everybody who's joining today. So different fractional roles play, what role do they play, or what kind of impact they have in that influences the customer satisfaction. I think it starts with the concept of customer success historically throughout the many years that it's grown as a methodology in a business, and part of the customer journey. They ultimately, along with in sales and some aspects, they own the customer relationship. But when you talk about customer experience, everybody plays a part of that. So for example, in marketing, the marketing leader, fractional leader can help drive an alignment around the what we like to call the ICP, the ideal customer profile, as well as journey mapping and customer messaging. The CFO, the leader in finance, the fractional leader in finance, they can help deliver, be part of providing a better quality comp plan for customer success, for example, that drives the right kind of behavior that is all about value, retention, growth. And it also aligns to the company targets and what their strategic goals are. The product leader, the fractional product leader, for example, they could be aligned. They could help align the messaging and direction that customer success or marketing, for example, would go, and for delivering a more a better ROI, or delivering a value in a much more structured way, and aligned to the ICP again. I meant, to the ideal customer profile. Product is part of that, should be part of that, along with marketing, sales, and customer success, so that they can deliver what's expected, the value, if you will, the value proposition from the product.
Okay, so what are some common challenges that fractionals face when integrating with existing teams to improve that customer experience?
Uh, um, Speaking from experience, and, generally speaking, there's that, hey, this is how we've always done it. They're kind of like, they get into not necessarily a groove, but they're wedged in, and being able to demonstrate or gain buy-in from cross collaboratively, or cross functionally, the buy-in on, we need to change things. We need to change the way we engage with customers, the way we communicate with them, the way we message them. And a lot, some of the, the way to overcome that, I've found is, again, figuring out, okay, where do you want to be? Okay, what does the customer, what profile are we talking about? And then let's build a journey for that. let's document how the journey occurs today. What are the key milestones that the customer is experiencing, and let's build a journey out, and of how it should be, and gain buy-in from all the key leaders cross functionally, and break out of that. This is the way we've always done it, but do you want to continue to, what if sales are not really continue to pour into the bucket? Those holes at the bottom, they continue regardless of how much sales come in at the top, and then you become reactive in trying to fix a churn problem rather than driving a better quality experience and driving retention and growth. But those are some of the common challenges. Again, just really comes down to, in my experience, has been customer engagement practices. How are we messaging? Are we having Q&A sessions? Are we figuring out and really hearing and listening to our customers, and when they provide that feedback that may not be great, but at least it's helpful in developing a better plan and strategy to retain them.
Okay, very good. So how can businesses effectively measure the impact a fractional has on the customer experience?
It's a good question. I think it really comes down to the direct impact on the customer engagement, and that feedback, and it's not too many times we create this feedback loop. That loop, for any number of reasons, can actually turn into this deep dark hole because some really great feedback comes from customers, but when you get into this rigid system of feedback, of a feedback loop, for any number of reasons, retention, employee retention, leadership changes, strategy focus changes, product roadmap shifts, any number of things can negatively impact that, because then it's just feedback just goes into a black hole and dies. Whereas if you have a more direct process in place that really drives not a loop, but like a freeway of communication and open lines of process between customer success and product. Product thinking like a customer success thinking like a product leader. That becomes more of an efficient way to exchange the customer or user feedback to help further enhance the product and at least the customer experience aspect around it. And then customers are more confident about the feedback they're providing because they're working not just with customer success, but with product. And so they become more advocates. They're willing to do case studies, provide references, and it's, then you have a direct impact on user adoption, product utilization, and you can even have a better, more direct impact on surveys. When you get large enough where you can actually start running surveys, first of all, you got to have the users and the customers actually respond to the surveys. So they have to see value in not just what they're doing and utilizing, but they have to see value in the survey itself. Then you can start capturing not just ratings, but feedback from that as well. So and then obviously retention and growth. So there's many different ways that you can effectively measure that impact of fractional leaders.
Okay, so So the pain points of a customer are really important in mapping out the journey and you're solving problems. Where do fractionals fit in there? How can they help identify those pain points?
The probably the best way is and this is where some companies struggle is getting that executive sponsorship and leadership to engage. Usually they're around during the sales process and they're there to sign the contract or but are they in it for the long haul? And generally speaking, getting them to engage and stay engaged can be a challenge because strategies and work changes things. Their focus can change within the company. They'll reassign it to somebody on their team and rely on them to provide feedback. So I think introducing a dedicated executive sponsor into an account goes a long way because it's let's bring our product leader or our customer leader or marketing leader into this and work together collaboratively as peers because now we're the escalation points and we can have a conversation directly about the relationship, the engagement, the contract, the overall experience, just what's happening today. Or, hey, I really need your help here because we're not making headway in this direction that we agreed on for this upcoming project where we can deliver, our product can help fill a gap for a particular strategy that you have in play. We can't move forward until and just being able to escalate directly can really push that relationship and that contract and that long-term development of that relationship turns into long-term value when you can bring those executives together.
Okay, good. So you know what? I'm just going to open up the floor. Cosmin had a question. Nikki has a comment. Rather than read them out, I'm just going to let you guys. You can all unmute. Let's have a conversation around customer experience. Ask away.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
Kevin.
Cosmin.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin. Great insights. I think as you were speaking to one of the points, I had the question of, the customer experience can be complex for a company of any size, right? And coming in, it could take some time to really make an impact to a challenge or an outcome. I mean, putting in surveys like everything else, right? I guess the question is, as a fractional, how can you overcome the headwind from a business owner and CEO of making an immediate impact? Like, how would you approach that?
Yeah. Thanks, Cosmin. I think the funny thing is when it comes to customer success or experience, it what's been and keep in mind this is just from my experience. I think my main thing is the team and the customer engagement, and finding out, doing brief assessment of the team, where they stand, how they operate, where the strengths are. Do we have the roles clearly defined? Are they doing too much one way or another? Are they doing too much with implementation? Are they doing too much with support? So there's some other things to tweak out there. But the customer engagement piece of it, it doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, it's really, okay, let's do the 80-20 rule. Let's pick our top 20 that are generating that are making the most impact for our business, and however you define that, by revenue, by advocacy, referrals, references, whatever, and product usage, and let's just have conversations with them and listen to them, hear them out. And I'm a big believer in this always creates good conversation, but I'm a big believer of if you have a really good CSM who is strategic and can be very consultative in their mindset, and they can ask one question about 2 or 3 times a year throughout, during the contract, and be able to put a success plan in place as a result of it. So if they ask the question, if you were to renew today, would you? Now, there's other ways to frame that up because it's not, depending on the customer, depending on the time frame, it could be reworded, but you get what I'm saying here. It's, hey, do you like us? And if you do, it's not just about us, it's about the product, and is it having an impact on your business? Will you continue? And if yes or no, why? And it's just regardless of the answer, the big part of that is the why. And so outside of anything of, yeah, we'll sign today, anything outside of that, then it's success plan time. And what that success plan looks like, that, I mean, we could have a whole nother separate call on this, but it's really setting up the template to really set that in motion to get them to that, heck yeah, we'll sign. But what is it going to take to get them there? And is it a product issue, the support? What is it? And so that's the key aspect, is putting that in place. And you can do that pretty quickly and set some objects in motion in the CRM and track it. And those are some impactful things that can be done. I wouldn't say quickly, but at least in a quarter or two, you really start seeing some traction from that.
Excellent. Anybody else? Nikki?
Yeah, so I really love all that you've shared today, Kevin, and Cosmin, you had a really great question as well. And I've actually worked quite a bit in different forms of engagement in my own experience. And one of the key factors that I have really seen is that ability to trust. And Kevin, I love your strategy, because when you can have those real conversations with your clients, that 20% or that whatever number, but then you can glean the good, the bad, and the ugly from those conversations, make appropriate changes, and then bring that feedback loop back to that client and said, you said, and we did as a result of that, that becomes a buy-in thing that says, oh, wait a minute. Okay, not only do they have a great project, but they're actually looking out for my best interest, and they care about what I have to say. Yeah. And that creates a bit of a loop that now can be perpetuated, that I think is really, really key. And most organizations that I work with, if they're struggling with customer service, it also is a correlation with a struggle in their internal work culture. If you have a healthy work culture, you're going to have a healthy customer relationship. And the inverse is also applicable. So sometimes the conversation with the CEO has to be about that bottom line piece that says, hey, like, we aren't our bottom line is being impacted because our culture is bleeding out into our customers.
Right. Exactly. I mean, he hit the nail on the head there. It's, ESAT equals CSAT. I mean, yeah. It's like happy employees equals happy customers. I mean, it's very simple to say that, and it's hard to do. But they don't necessarily have to be happy, but it's a mindset of they're making an impact. They're adding value that helps them to be more strategic, and they want their customers to be successful. They want to be a student of their customers' business. They want to be more consultative. You ask any CSM, hey, would you like to be more consultative? Would you like to be more strategic? I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, that's in my job description, right? I mean, it's got, that's absolutely. And I think that's what I was mentioning before is, are they too much in the implementation? Are they dipping in too much to support? Let's get them out of those things. Let's get them focused on what's important from a customer experience standpoint. And also, by the way, let's take all those take all that crazy noise off the table, and what makes, make them happy employees so that they can, deliver, because that whatever's going on, it's going to bleed through. Doesn't matter.
And I guess that's where HR comes in too, right?
Right.
Hiring the right people.
Exactly.
So fractional HR people also have an impact on that customer experience. Dan has raised his hand. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, yeah, Kevin, great perspective here. I had a question for you. A little earlier in the conversation, you talked about the need for having really a dedicated sponsor. Whether, when somebody in a fractional position comes into an organization to try to help them make changes, when you bring somebody external to the organization in, there's often, people are looking at you from the corner of their eye, wondering, they're afraid, right? What's this person doing? What's the impact of them going to be? Am I in trouble? Am I going to lose my job? And I guess I was curious to find out from your perspective, what role, if you can unpack this a bit more, or what kind of things can that dedicated sponsor do internally, speaking with their team to explain to them what is, what you're trying to achieve, and how do they engage throughout this process to make sure that it doesn't come off the rails?
Right. Right. No, great question. I mean, and I think that's also essential that really speaks into the team aspect of, the approach, and that is really pouring into the team, because, and sometimes people will say, well, why wouldn't you talk to customers? Well, we would, but at the end, maybe you do it kind of in parallel. But initially, you really have to gain the buy-in and confidence of the team, and really speak into them and learn about what they are experiencing, how they go about their business. Do a lot of listening, and that's, a lot of the approaches, depending on how big the team is, will determine how long that's going to take. And not to leave anybody out. If you talk to this group over here, but not this group over here, this group over here is going, what's up? So, but being able to establish that right away of, okay, this is going to be my approach. This is ultimately what we want to achieve. We want to keep the main thing. That's gross retention. I'm just using this as an example. We need to get gross retention to 90%. We're sub 80 right now. So that's a big deal. We need to focus as a team. And so a couple of things that I see right away is we need to get you out of tech support. We're working on that. And now we need to get you the tools that you need. It's kind of I hate to say kind of a political campaign, but it can turn into a political campaign. But you have the ability to go right in and dive in and schedule those one-on-ones and say, I'm having the same conversation with everybody. This is the format. And everybody knows what they're jumping into, so that when something pops on their calendar and it's 30 minutes with Kevin, it's not, oh God, what are we going to do? What does this mean? And but they know ahead of time, guys, this is the agenda. This is what we ultimately want to drive a better quality experience. So I want to learn from you what's going on. How can we do that? What ideas do you have? Because inevitably, Dan, what's happened in the past has happened in the past.
Yeah.
They haven't been listened to, here comes yet another leader, right? And it's just one of those things. You just have to earn that trust. I think somebody put trust culture equals customer trust. So thank you, Nikki, for that. That's actually, I'm going to use that one. But that's ultimately what it is, Dan. It's just that direct engagement, but also setting the plan in place and getting that buy-in from senior leadership in the C-suite that, okay, this is the approach we're taking, and everybody's on the same page with what that's going to look like.
And I guess that those one-on-one engagements, it really gives people hopefully the opportunity to speak freely. And so they don't get buried in the group dynamics that sometimes happen in organizations where, there's always some people who speak and some people who don't speak.
Yeah, the all hands call that turns into 3 people talking. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Go ahead, Nikki, you have a question or a comment?
No, I was just going to add to the conversation because Kevin, you kind of alluded to it, that this notion that our staff and those we're looking to get buy-in from are included in the solution finding and the problem defining of what we're going through gets that ownership going, right? And that is both one-on-one conversations and group conversations, because you have to be able to manage that group dynamic. But if you can identify the problem and then come together in let the best idea win in terms of solving it, and you really have that client voice at the center, then everybody is on board to make that happen for clients. And you ultimately, I put my hand up and then I put my hand down because you did scratch at that, and I think that's huge. And buy-in, takes longer to go that way. It's, the sell, tell, gel, del, I can come in and tell you what to do. I can sell you an idea, or we can actually iterate and gel together in a concept. Gelling takes longer, but the impact is so much profoundly more impactful.
Yeah, the long-term impact is there for sure. And that's the other thing is, if you can get even beyond C-suite into the board and convince and buy-in from there, because there have been, all things considered, all this is done. You're moving down the track. You got 6 months in behind you, and you're moving ever forward, and you're getting a rhythm going. And then the board goes, "Yeah, we're going to need to make it. This is not moving fast enough." Oh my gosh, So the buy-in stopped at the C-suite, because we all know this. The board actually makes a lot of the decisions in a lot of cases. So there's that as well. If there's an opportunity to get beyond that, to go to get into the board meeting or feed the CEO with the information that they have bought into, and they can tell the story, that's also going to be critical. I think I may have touched a nerve. I started seeing some people popping.
Otherwise, focus on smaller companies.
Yep.
So are you seeing a trend around businesses wanting to bring fractionals in to help with customer experience?
Yeah, I do see it's breaking even breaking out even more. And the crazy thing is that a lot of cases it's I wouldn't say too late, but it's just now it's hey, we need a fractional CX leader to come in and fix our churn problem. And it's just you have churn, which is an outcome of some problems or issues that you have. I mean, it's just that churn is not the problem. Churn is the outcome. And so those underlying cultural challenges, or some of the other things we talked about, could be some of the root causes. So some companies are seeing that sooner than later. But also the concept of go-to-market is starting to expand and grow. So I'm imagining a chief or a CGO, a chief go-to-market officer, and they ultimately build a team of saying consultants, but just experts in customer success and sales and marketing and product, that's the go-to-market team. Because go-to-market is not something that you just put in play and launch it and there it goes. It's constantly evolving as the business grows and expands. And it's not just net new, it's existing customer base. So I'm starting to see opportunities for customer success and experience to actually be part of a go-to-market strategy as well.
Good, interesting. So, and that creates a nice niche for certain fractionals with certain levels of expertise, right?
It's the latest and greatest, but not the latest and greatest, but it is a buzzword, and it is, but it's got legs to it, because everybody, you say go to market, people are like, oh, They want to.
Very good. And does anyone else have any questions or comments? Tyrone, Ross, you guys are quiet. All good? So what strategies do you recommend fractionals take to align their efforts with the overall customer experience goals?
Well, I think first is to understand what the company is there to do. Like, if there's a way that they want to dramatically shift away from something and go towards something, or if there's, it could be an opportunity for these fractional leaders to come in and actually set a new approach, and or keep it simple. I mentioned before, there's a couple of areas that I always seem to find myself in. That's in the team and the customer engagement practices. Everything else kind of supports that. But the ultimate goal in a lot of cases, especially in SaaS, is gross retention. And it's you shift from fix our churn problem to, oh, we have to drive retention. And because you can't grow what you don't have. I mean, if you're churning 25%, that means you've got 75% retention, which is that's a problem. Like, and how do we fix that? What are some? So let's set a target boldly, because industry wise, market wise, we really should be over 90% in gross retention. So how do we get there? Well, let's set a target for 80%, 85%, or be bolder. And for this year, we're going to be 87%. And then quarter over quarter, we're going to set those targets. And that's the strategy. Let sales keep doing what they're doing. Let marketing do what they do. Let's work together to build a better mousetrap. Is that too old of a statement? But a better ideal customer profile. Do we even have that? And let's create a great journey for that customer profile. Because at the end of the day, if we follow the nice even flow of that journey, we're going to see our retention numbers go up. Now, does that happen next month, next quarter? No, there's time. It takes time. But if we start instituting these practices and actually asking the questions that I was talking about before, of asking that question, if you were to renew today, would you, and why? And we have a campaign around that, we can actually have an impact pretty soon. But that goes on while we're instituting that new strategy, right? We're working that new strategy to get to that ultimate goal of 95% gross retention. And so it's just really setting that strategy in play, and making and setting and sticking to it, because it takes time. And that's the biggest that will be the biggest challenge is time, and patience.
Okay. Somebody else? Nikki, did you had a question that you popped in the thing, or Dan? I don't know if that's a raised hand there. Am I looking at that?
I'm looking to see. Yeah.
I see a different screen.
Kind of continuing the conversation, because I think that problem identification piece is so complex. So I just wondered, if you had some strategies around, actually, like, how to robustly identify the problem outside of we've got churn, like really giving some clarity to where the challenges are outside of that client feedback component. Do you have other strategies that you use?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, dive right into interviewing mode, and talking to all the key leaders of what I would consider to be part of the customer journey. So what does pre-sales look like? What do demos look like? What expectations are being set? And what are the handoffs look like from sales to post-sales? Does sales remain involved, and for how long? What is the implementation team? Is there an implementation team? What does that onboarding experience look like? Is the what are the communications to the customers from contract signature and beyond? Are there milestones where we do something? And who owns it? Who owns what throughout that journey? So you could literally take at least, if you're doing this full time, it's at least a month, maybe 2, to get through all that, because those are all those types of interviews and all those questions that need to be answered, because you need to get a definition of what is it today. And then you can, easily pinpoint what's going on and what's missing, because you're coming in fresh, objective, with a customer mindset, and you're going, if I was a customer here and they sold me on this and I signed and I got that, it doesn't jive. So what's missing? And so that's, what am I expecting if I'm signing on for that and I get this? What am I really expecting? And once you get through that process, I like to do a kind of a parallel set of conversations with those top customers, asking them, you've been here for how long? Why are you still here? What is keeping you here? What is it? What is the experience like? What are we doing well? What should we stop doing? And just having those conversations with the customers as well.
Good. Any other questions, comments? Yeah, good. All right, I'm just going to wrap it up then. If nobody has anything else they want to add, you can unmute yourselves, jump in, make a comment, ask a question. All good? All right. Well, I want to thank everyone for attending. I really appreciate your enthusiasm. Please tell the world about the Fractional Referral Network. You want to say something, Dan?
No, I was just I was just going to just say to Kevin, I found that this was really insightful, and that we're living in a world right now where everybody keeps talking to me about AI is going to do everything for us. AI is going to change everything for us. Can't change this.
Yeah. It's just like, AI can't do anything without us.
Yeah.
So it's got to start somewhere. A human has to do something to start something to provide an outcome that is expected. And it's I hear you.
Nothing's perfect.
No.
And we want to be useful in this world, That's the other part, sure. We were born to make a difference. So yep. I think it's in our nature to feel fulfilled when we get to do that.
And nice to meet everybody. Thank you all for being here. Feel free to reach out. Tyrone, you and I have connected obviously in the past. So I'm always open to having conversations and connecting and collaborating. So feel free.
Great. All right. So for those who are checking this out on LinkedIn later on, the Fractional Referral Network is a school group. You can message me, Renee Cormier. I will give you direction to get to the group. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.